ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Couple of Punts Podcast, and maybe welcome to the Couple of Punts YouTube channel. Welcome. It's been a while. It's been about 2 or 3 months, I think, since we've last uploaded on the YouTube channel, should I say? But we've decided, you know what, we're doing weekly shows at the minute. It's not too time-consuming. Let's try and get these episodes weekly on the channel. We'll see how it goes for the time being, at least leading up to the start of the season. When the season gets underway, we'll see. Some of us have got jobs, some of us are at university. It's difficult, but we're going to do all we can to get all the lovely content out for you guys. I'm Ross Williams from the Couple of Punts Podcast, and Harry Dennis, as always, is also here. How you doing, mate? How's things?
I'm all right, mate. I'm really well. I hope this is going on YouTube because I've combed my beard for this. So,
brilliant! Oh, it is looking majestic as always. I must say, it is looking great. And the thing with YouTube is, because obviously, like, you can watch videos from kind of 6-7 years ago. It's not very time sensitive, and this episode itself won't be very time sensitive. Apart from I've ruined everything because you know it's coming home.
It is.
By the time you're watching this, will it have come home? I don't know. We hope so. We sure hope so. But yeah, the semi-final is tomorrow, so nervy times. But we are here to talk a different kind of football, of course, and we've got 4 talking points, I believe, to go through on this week's episode. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, likewise, subscribe, give it a like, give it a share, give it a rate if you're on Apple Podcasts, any of that kind of stuff. Wherever you found us from social media, if you give us a share, give us a retweet from the Couple Punts Twitter, that'd be absolutely brilliant as well. Thank you very much. Right then, first topic of the day. And do you know what? I'm going to just bring you straight in on this one because this is one we've been talking about for a very long time, isn't it? This is something we've been at for months and months and months. We've been wanting this, we've been keeping up to this story. And to be honest, I'm not sure I ever thought it was going to happen, but it has. The NCAA, they've finally broken rank. They've finally done it, haven't they, Harry? Explain to the people what has happened. What have the NCAA done? They
have the glorification of the amateur side of the sport that the NCAA always kind of ran home about. The fact that these are, students, they shouldn't get paid, they should love to play the game. They've finally broken, and the NCAA has introduced, they're called nil laws, and it's basically just name, image, likeness. Yeah. Players don't get paid by the universities, but they can make money off their own name, image, and likeness, the products of their own labour. They're allowed to make money for the first time ever, legally, because, we'll get into what happened to a certain player and a couple of other players a little bit down the line. But yeah, these college athletes can now make money from their own work, and that's great. That's great just in general for and that's across all college sports. It's not just college football. We are going to focus on that, but heck, the lacrosse team from Syracuse can make money. The swim team from USC can make money. Every college athlete can make money, and that's good. Yeah,
I saw the other day, I think there's already a basketball player with a $2 million endorsement. It's hard to stress. I mean, to a British audience as well, it's hard to stress just how big this is. It's massive. This is genuinely one of the. I know it's obviously about a week or so ago now. Obviously, we didn't have an episode last week, so we're reacting to it now. So that kind of the dust has settled a little bit. But this is one of the biggest stories in American sports history, isn't it? It really is. It's that level. It's a complete culture shift, isn't it?
It's a seismic shift. It is. I'm trying to think of what is a comparison. And the only thing I can kind of think of would be if the Premier League tomorrow just went, right, we're putting salary caps in. It fundamentally changes the game, and it just changes everything about the sports, the culture, as you say. Before it was very much that it was a glorification of these amateur athletes. They were amateurs. They couldn't make any money. And we've criticised that system before because it doesn't work. College football probably makes more money as a whole than the NFL. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And, yes, Trevor Lawrence just signed his contract, I think yesterday, $38 million with $24 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
That is one college athlete who's done well. There is 1% of college athletes to go to the NFL. They won't make that NFL money. Even if you get to the NFL, you necessarily won't make that NFL money. There's probably 99.5% of these college athletes won't go on to have a career in the sport. And yes, they do have a degree. But again, we've discussed this before. A lot of these athletes are on lower degrees and they can't dedicate their time to this because even though they're unpaid and stuff, they are expected to work as hard and probably even harder than some of the NFL stars. Yeah. So how, we've got a lot of students here. How would we struggle to keep up with our own courses, let alone while being a full-time athlete? So the fact that these players can make money now not only benefits them because, not everyone makes the NFL, but it will benefit college football because players won't have to leave early potentially. You'll see a lot less 3-and-outs, 2-and-outs in basketball and other sports.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make. Yeah, that's why
mutually beneficial.
That's why it's crazy it's taking this long. And it really is. It's just been down to just ignorance, I guess. It's pettiness, stubbornness, probably the word for it. I guess it's just been stubbornness from the old lights, as we like to call them.
It is.
That's what it's just. They've just gone, well, this has been the case for 100 years, so why would we change it now? Well, the world's moved on. The world's moved on in a massive way. Look at that 4K video of Joe Burrow from a year ago when he runs out at Tiger Stadium, and you're just like, how can this man be paid nothing? Look, that is a rock star. That is an absolute rock star, and he's 80,000 people there to see this one man ultimately. And the fact he couldn't earn a living at that point is absolutely just ludicrous. And like you say, it's mutually beneficial because we're now at a stage, like say, although it won't be a salary necessarily, it's not like that. They'll be able to get endorsements, sponsorships, that kind of thing. But I mean, you just look at sport now. I mean, that's bigger than salary. Let's be honest. I mean, as much as Lionel Messi's in the news at the moment, of course, he's currently a free agent. I don't think he's particularly worried because I'm pretty sure Adidas pay him a fair whack every year. I don't think he's too fussed at the minute. He probably got more than his salary at Barcelona from Adidas per year. Endorsements are a huge, huge deal. And like you say, if now you're in a situation where you can get an endorsement, if you're a quarterback at an SEC school, for example, you've got a sponsorship with Under Armour or Gatorade or whoever this brand is. If you have a good year and you just kind of, there's so many players who are just kind of, especially like juniors, even sophomores sometimes, who are kind of on the brink of kind of Heisman contention or even win the Heisman, even if they've not quite peaked yet and they're probably not quite ready for the NFL, to go to the NFL. And sometimes it's a disaster. Look at Johnny Manziel, for example.
Yeah.
It happens so often because they're just not ready for it, but they don't really have a choice because they think, well, I might never get to this peak again. I might never be a first round pick again. I've got to go to the NFL now and just try it no matter what because I need to get paid for playing football. Now they can make much more educated choices about their career, I think, which is a massive, massive step. It's probably even bigger in basketball, as you say, because so many players simply just don't go to college now. Now there's an avenue where they can actually build the NCAA college game as well and make the Final Four and March Madness even bigger. But yeah, in terms of football, these Johnny Manziel types who probably go when they probably shouldn't do. Here we go. Open the floodgates.
And it's not just that. We spoke about Tim Tebow before, and we've kind of mentioned how some of these college stars in certain areas of the country are bigger than NFL stars. Like it would be obscene how much money, Tim Tebow would have made in college, how much money Reggie Bush, going to get onto it eventually, how much he would have made, how much Johnny Manziel would have made, how much Charles Woodson would have made at Michigan, how much Bo Jackson and someone else, I can't remember his name, but Cam Newton would have made at Auburn. These players would have probably earned a lot more than some NFL players just off their own likenesses, being able to sell their own jerseys and stuff. And again, we're talking about how America is so regionalized and how big these college teams are. There's going to be money made being sponsored by the local garage, the local, mattress dealership. There's money that's going to be able to trickle down to a lot of these players. And as I said before, it's just mutually beneficial for everyone around. And they frankly just deserve to make money because they work so hard and they prop up the multi-billion-dollar industry. And especially when the coaches are getting paid obscene amounts of money, everyone's making money off it, but these players. So it's just great that they are now making money. Yeah,
absolutely. As you correctly point out, it's not just the top dogs. It's not just your quarterbacks and your all-star wide receivers. It's everyone. It trickles right down. You've got family businesses now. Like families themselves, like actual families can now sponsor their own kids basically through their businesses and such like. It's a huge culture shift and it's a massive deal. And let's before we get to Reggie Bush, because we'll get to Reggie Bush, it's just I think it was key to just kind of translate just how big this is. But we do know you're most excited about this because of NCAA football, right?
Oh, 100%. It was coming back anyway. It was coming back regardless, but it's unlicensed, so it will just be Trevor Lawrence would have been Clemson quarterback 16. The best one was like Jadeveon Clowney was South Carolina number 2 back in the day, or whether he played kind of college. It was just that kind of people. A bit like, I haven't played Pez in 10 years, but when I used to play Pez a bit, it was Cristiano Rolando and stuff like that. And
you'd be playing for Merseyside Red.
Derbyshire it was always Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, and stuff like that. So it's just gonna make the game just better. And I just can't wait for that. It's gonna be incredible. It is. Hopefully it is. It's still EA making it, but I think they know that this franchise is so loved for the fact that it's literally still supported with mods and stuff. It came out in 2013, so 8 years after its release, that they can't botch it because the backlash would be unreal.
Yeah, they've got to go all in. Very much looking forward to that. Reggie Bush, then, before we move on. I'm just going to ask what side. I'm pretty sure I know, but I'm just going to ask what side of the argument you land on. I think he's gonna, but should Reggie Bush get his Heisman Trophy back? Yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, yes, he did break the rules, but they're unfair rules. And it's just, he was one of the most, he deserves to be sent. The fact that OJ Simpson is in the NCAA's good books compared to Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
It's just astounding. Technically, OJ Simpson was innocent of some crimes, guilty of others, but all Reggie Bush did was had like a limo ride. His parents had a house, and essentially his ex-agent turned on him.
He essentially sold some autographs, didn't he? That's what it boiled down to.
Which happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he got caught out because he was Reggie Bush, but it still happened. Like, there was still players still made money illegally throughout this time. It's obviously happened. Like, it's very clear that it's happened.
Zion made a few.
Yeah. Imagine the endorsements he get now, though. I mean,
it's not just football, as you say. Zion Williams would be ridiculous.
Zion Williamson, there's players coming through this year as well. I forget. Cade Cunningham coming through this year. Just astronomical amounts of money, to the point where they probably go, NBA, yeah. Just ridiculous amounts. But yeah, it's the biggest story on it, because obviously Reggie Bush was the most high-profile kind of casualty of these rules, I guess, when he was caught out, and obviously he did have his Heisman Trophy stripped from him. I think it should be reinstated myself. I really do. There is the argument that, the rules were there and he broke the rules, simple as that, and you shouldn't rule break no matter what. And yes, but as you say, they were just so farcical, really. They have been farcical for a very long time, and that's the thing. So retrospectively, should they give one of the game's great players the game's greatest accolade because he deserved it that year? Yeah, I think they should. I'd be very much on the petition to give Reggie his Heisman back.
Yeah, because he's the only guy that doesn't have his Heisman. Every other Heisman winner still has their trophy. He has given his Heisman back, and he's paid his debt to the NCAA. I mean, he didn't have a debt to the NCAA, because, again, think of how much money he made them, because he was college football at the time. Him and Matt Leinart at USC against Vince Young at Texas in that Rose Bowl game. Yeah. They gave the NCAA so much money, and
give me it back. Give him it back, NCAA. I know you listen. Give him it back.
And his records, because he's like, it's kind of thing where he doesn't exist in the NCAA's eyes.
Yeah, that's the thing. He never exists. They wiped him. They basically wiped his memory, which is just bizarre. I'd have got it if there was an asterisk, but it literally just went. There's
no asterisk or anything. He is allowed now back at USC, because he had like a decade-long ban from USC. Because OJ Mayo got done as well. And again, it probably wasn't just down to Reggie Bush. It was probably down to the culture at USC. And USC did get draconian kind of penalties, which they haven't still recovered from yet. That's the reason why they're not a college powerhouse anymore. I think I looked the other day, they lost 30 scholarships over a 2-year period.
It's insane, isn't it? It's so brutally handled. And it's just, you look back at it now in hindsight and you just go, why? But there we go. That is it's over now. At least it's over now, and we can move on. And I think college football and the sport generally will be a better place for it. Right, topic 2 today then, and that was quite cheery news. This one less so, I think it's fair to say, but it is certainly worth talking about before we get into some proper football. The Washington football team, who are never far from the headlines, it has to be said.
It's always
them. Never far from the bad ones either. They were hit with a fine last week, or Dan Snyder in particular. The owner was hit with a $10 million fine as a result of the findings that have been found of the last year due to sexual harassment in the workplace. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on this one to get started, Harry?
Yeah, this was an investigation that was first carried out by the football team itself, And then I think the NFL eventually did step in and say, yeah, we probably need to have a look at this. They will say they'll find $10 million for toxic workplace cultures, and it especially pertains to the complaints and stuff from the women that we talked about probably a year ago now. Yeah. The kind of coercion and sexual harassment and sexual assault in the workplace, sexual misconduct as well. So yeah, it's good that's kind of sorted. It's ironic now though that Dan Snyder has just appointed a new CEO of the team called Tanya Snyder, his wife. So clearly it's still not an even playing field over there at the football team, but yeah, they have been fined because the reports that we heard about last year about that sexist kind of sexual misconduct in the workplace was true.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a tricky one because the Washington football team, they were quick to it. Like the crisis management was good in inverted commas because they did launch an investigation last July, as you say, which the NFL then took over in August. But let's be honest, this investigation only happened because the Washington Post were on them.
Yes,
in a big way. I think it was 15. I've got the CNN article up here. It was those 15 female employees and 2 journalists who were involved. Who obviously kind of the middle women between the story, I guess, at the time. They were the accusers of the football team. 15 is a lot. Let's be fair. It'd be bad enough if it was 1. There was 15 former female employees who were willing to put their name to this. So as I say, the football team launched an investigation. And then the NFL, they gave it about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, before they took it over themselves because they thought, well, they can't just do an investigation to themselves. Who would do that? Boris Johnson. Who would do that? So apparently it's Beth Wilkinson, who was an attorney who has led the investigation on behalf of the NFL. And this is where it's still quite murky to me, to be honest, because this story obviously came out last week and it was almost a finality, wasn't it? This is it. Like this is the final chapter of the story. That's it. He's got his $10 million fine. That is it. Is that enough? And I don't think that's enough. And I think that's where this gets particularly murky because the NFL, although they've kind of relayed some elements of the investigation, they've not released the report. Like the report is not public currently. So do we really know the extent of what was going on in the Washington football team? No, we still don't know. And I know the former employees have released a statement saying they obviously refute that. They want it public. They want the information to be out there. Apparently the NFL only kind of give like an oral report of the findings that came out, and they've just kind of hit him with this fine and nothing else. And look, $10 million in the grand scheme of things sounds like a lot of money, and it is. Like I wouldn't mind $10 million. It'll probably do quite a lot for me. Dan Snyder is a very, 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 very rich man, and if you'd have asked him in June last year when these reports are coming out, you can give us $10 million and this would go away, would he have taken it? I think he'd have bit your hand off. It still seems a bit iffy to me, to be honest. What's your take on it?
That's the exact thing. It's almost like he's not paid off the NFL, but for all intents and purposes, it's exactly what he's done. $10 million for Dan Snyder is
probably Zack Snyder as well. To be fair,
yeah, it's a tax write-off because throw that away. The NFL have said it's going to charity, so fair enough, and I think it is sexual, like those kind of charities.
It's going to organisations committed to character education, anti-bullying, healthy relationships, and related topics.
Oh, but yeah, the fact that the report isn't public, it's just like the Washington football team been slapped on the wrist. I can't remember if anyone did leave or was sacked a year ago, but it seems like no one's kind of been found guilty of anything in particular. There's been no names, so it's essentially, like I say, they're swept under the carpet and everyone's on final warning now because the NFL have had to step in. Change will happen from it, but hopefully, because the NFL will now probably have a greater say and a greater look into how these organizations run, especially when it comes to these kind of subjects. But the fact that nothing internally is employment-wise has changed, and ultimately these women don't have a job for the football team. The people that pertain to this and did this still have a job in the football team.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look, I don't know what it's like to be fined $10 million. I'm not a multi-billionaire. I don't know. I'm sure it still hurts. I'm sure it's still not great. Don't get me wrong. But as part of the statement the Washington football team put out, Dan Snyder has literally just said, "Yeah, I take full responsibility for it. I'm the chair. I'm the owner of the team. I've got to take full responsibility for it." Are the NFL scared of him? Look, it would be. I don't think there's ever been, to my knowledge, maybe way back in the day, but I don't think there's anything to my knowledge where the NFL have ever kind of ousted an owner. I assume they have the ability to do so. The NFL still ultimately own the teams, like the trademarks and everything. Although not the financial side of it, but you know what I mean. The NFL's
that franchise is on. It's like McDonald's.
Exactly.
The guy will you can own your own McDonald's, but ultimately you still have to answer to McDonald's HQ.
Yeah, the 49ers could not go and play in the XFL. Like they belong to the NFL. The NFL has to allow them to play ultimately. Yeah, so they hold all the cards. Yeah, I mean, look, a case of this size with so many accusers, if Dan Snyder's literally going there, yep, I hold my hands up. My responsibility, whether he knew about it or not, it is his responsibility because he clearly, whether he knew about stuff or not, he didn't deal with anything. Is this a case for change of ownership or just? I think it is. I think it is personally. It's such a difficult one. And you know, how do you go about ousting a team owner who's a multi-billionaire? It's really difficult. But to be honest, before this came out, I really did think this was going to be the catalyst for Jeff Bezos taking over because that seemed to be the way this is going. Because I think it's Jeff Bezos. He owns the Washington Post. Almost felt like, well, he did just run the paper that led the article. And there has been whispers before that he quite likes the idea of taking over the football team in the city. I did wonder whether that was the way this is going to go, but apparently not. Dan Snyder just had this slap on the wrist and off we go. I guess the Washington football team just hope the next time they're in the news, it's about what they're going to be called in 2022, I guess.
Yeah. As you say, I'm not sure what the precedent is for in the NFL for actually removing an owner. It's happened in American sports before. Donald Sterling, the former Clippers owner, was removed in 2014.
Similar kind of case as well. I mean, more personal, but
this time it was racist comments, and I'm pretty sure it came about because it kind of got swept under the carpet, and the players went, "Yeah, no, we're not going to play for him." And the other players in the NBA, actually, the NBA players with a drive for change, but they forced him to sell his own team. Again, not his own team because but for all intents and purposes, he was forced to sell his team, and he was ousted as the owner. So there's framework for it in American sports. I mean, it's not going to happen now; it's too far down the line. And I think the NFL are probably banking on Dan Snyder selling anyway because he's apparently was a couple of months ago trying to buy up the other minority owners so he can sell the team.
He did buy some more shares, didn't he? He definitely bought some more shares, yeah.
So I think that's probably what they're banking on, that he'll eventually sell to somebody, Jeff Bezos potentially, because I think they're trying to move back to Washington as well because they still play in Maryland.
Yeah, and I guess the fact you brought up Tanya Snyder now taking one of the big front office roles, is that a little bit of kind of management as well, where it's just like, you know, we don't want to put someone in that job now because they might be sacked in 2 years' time if we don't own the team. You know, I mean, whether it's just a matter of kind of keeping it close because they just want to deal with it all themselves in the hope of the move. Maybe. I don't think there's been a team sale in our lifetime. I don't think in the NFL, so it would be interesting. Or certainly not. Well, maybe there was. Maybe there has been. Or certainly not a big high-profile one. So it doesn't happen very often. You generally keep the team you have within the family. Look at the Detroit Lions. That's been in the Firestone Ford family for years and years and years. The Colts have been with the Ursays. Jerry Jones had the Dallas Cowboys. They generally stick. But it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch over the next probably couple of years. I don't think it's something that's going to happen all of a sudden. But does the future of Washington lie outside of Snyder? I think it does. I think it has to, ultimately.
Yeah, it has to. You're right there.
Okay, something a little bit nicer then, and some actual football talk. Let's actually talk about some proper real-life football, because you know what? We're not actually that far away from the start of the season now. It's quickly creeping up, isn't it?
It's the last month without NFL football.
And there's actually pre-season next month, so we're getting close. Just what? Are we 5 or 6 weeks away from pre-season football? I know it's not the real thing, but I'll take it. This one.
And there's 2 weeks of pre-season this year, isn't there? Because still under COVID protocols drastically reduced it. But yeah, 2 games of pre-season, then we're into it.
I think it's not 3 this year. It might be 3. It's 2 or 3 anyway. It's certainly reduced. It's not the full 4 game schedule, but It's 2 or 3 games preseason. I'm just looking forward to watching the game, any game, frankly. Apart from the Hall of Fame game. Hope not doing that, because that's always an absolute car crash. But yeah.
Get that in the bin.
We're close to football, so let's talk some football. So, Harry, you've got a list in front of you, which came out last week, I believe, from our good friends at Pro Football Focus, who usually know what they're talking about. Sometimes, we'll see. The top 10 quarterbacks right now going into the 2021 NFL season. I did see this list briefly last week, but I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. Do you want to give us a quick rundown and we'll have a little chat about it?
Yeah, I will. You were right. It was 3 preseason games this year. And yeah, this isn't one of their stat-based things, I don't think. This is more of an opinion thing. So that's why it's different. Look, I'll go through 5 to 1 because it's relatively normal at this point.
Yep.
I've got Josh Allen at 5, Russell Wilson at 4, Aaron Rodgers at 3, Tom Brady at 2, Patrick Mahomes at 1.
Tom Brady at 2. Interesting.
Tom Brady at 2, yes, but probably everyone else is probably around there. Nothing silly at this point.
No, that's fine. I'd mix around the order, but I do agree that's probably the 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Where would you put the order?
Mahomes 1, Rodgers 2, still reigning MVP. Still the reigning MVP. Who else
Not on the cover of the MVP edition of Madden, though.
Right.
It's funny, isn't it? It's just funny.
Yeah. I'm a big Wilson stan. I kind of want to go Wilson 3. Brady 4, Allen 5. Probably. I kind of want to put Brady 5, to be honest. I do want to put Brady 5, but I'll just get hate, and he's still the champion, and whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. No, look, there's nothing wrong with that top 5 or your top 5. That's fine.
Yeah.
6 to 10 or 10 to 6. That's when things get weird.
All right.
At 6, got Dak Prescott.
Okay.
High, but 7, Matt Ryan.
Okay.
8, Kirk Cousins. 9, Baker Mayfield. And then we get Lamar Jackson at 10.
I love Captain Kirk, but no. Absolutely not. Dak Prescott 6. I mean, the guy has, we hope, a functioning ACL. We don't know. We don't know that. But he was playing. Do you know what? I don't like Dak hate, really, because he was playing very good football. He'd thrown for a ridiculous amount of yards before he went down. I think he was averaging 400 yards a game, wasn't he?
He was going to smash all records if he continued his pace.
Yeah, he was averaging 400 or something. It was ridiculous. I mean, he had to, because that defense was absolutely terrible, and he had to kind of outthrow the opposition. That's what happened. But 6 is too high. But I don't hate him in the 10. It's probably borderline. I think he's borderline, maybe sneaking at 10th, maybe. You'd be safer saying Dak Prescott's like 11 or 12, I think.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, it's the one I hate arguably the least. I think Matt Ryan's still a very good quarterback, and I think he gets indiscriminate hate because the Falcons are bad. I think you actually look at, we talked about it on the pod before, I think you look at Matt Ryan's numbers, really not bad at all. They're really not bad at all when you consider the offensive line, which is nothingness in front of him. Julio Jones is out for half last year. Yeah, Calvin Ridley had the breakout, but he had a breakout because Matt Ryan was throwing at the ball. Let's be honest. And he's not had a run game for a while since Devontae Freeman, really.
Yeah, since the Super Bowl run, essentially.
Yeah, he's not had a run game for 3 or 4 years now. So I think Matt Ryan, I think you can still put him in the 10 again. But you have to put Lamar Jackson up there. Lamar Jackson has to be 6 or 7 at the very least. And as for Kirk Cousins, how do you put Kirk Cousins above Justin Herbert? I don't know.
I've got no idea because his own team wanted to move on from him. His own team wanted Justin Fields.
He's above Matt Stafford.
I just look. I mean, that's obviously the most egregious one, but Lamar Jackson at 10 is a joke. I'm kind of past. I'm sick of kind of people now just not respecting Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Like he was an incredible quarterback last year. Off the yes, he didn't have an MVP season like he did have the year before, but he was still incredible. He got his first playoff win. He got the duck off his back. He played really well throughout the year. He's still got an incredible red zone percentage, and he's the best dual threat quarterback we've got in the NFL right now. To put him at 10 is quite frankly a joke, especially and even to have him anywhere behind Baker, Kirk, or Matt, and Dak. To be honest, I think he's 6. He's 6 or 5. You put him there if you like Josh. I'd probably put him above Josh Allen, but if you want to put Josh Allen above him, I won't complain as long as they are literally right next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, you can't throw this argument at Matt Ryan because obviously he has, but like I say, you've got Dak, Kirk Cousins, and Baker. Well, I like Baker, to be fair. I don't actually. I think again he's kind of around that kind of area. I think he had a good year last year. Lamar Jackson's he's got an MVP. He's got an MVP. Matt Ryan's going, yeah, fair. But the others, nowhere near an MVP level year. Nowhere near. Lamar Jackson's literally had an MVP year in his sophomore season. Just it's disrespectful. Massively disrespectful. That I think you've got to put him. I can argue not putting him in the 5. I think that's fine, but he's got.
But he's 6. Yeah,
he's 6. A stretch 7. You're stretching at 7. You really are. I think he's got to be 6. I think you are right. Who are the players then you think should have made it into that 10? So I'll throw Justin Herbert in there straight away. I think he should.
Herbert's the obvious one.
Stafford.
Yeah.
Surely Matt Stafford.
Yeah, Matt Stafford probably as well. Herbert and Stafford immediately going for me for Kirk and Baker. Again, Baker can be like 11, 12. I'm not dropping him all the way back, but Herbert comes in immediately. And he's just so good. Outside of those two,
I must admit, I'm trying to think around the league now, and there's probably a really obvious one that's.
I know it's kind of the thing is with this list, it's not prefaced by like expected to have the biggest 2021 based on 2020 performance, based on fantasy value. There's nothing to categorize what this list is, so it's got to be top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL overall.
Yeah.
Which Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan are nowhere near that right now. Neither is Baker, but like Kyler Murray, in and around the 10, Kyler
Murray's got to be in there. Look, you take Kyler Murray above Kirk. Look, I don't want to keep hating on Kirk. It's not his fault he's there.
No, I
don't think Kirk Cousins would call himself the 7th best quarterback in this league, to be honest. So it's not his fault. I don't want to keep shitting on him, but yeah, you'd have Kyler Murray above Kirk Cousins, surely.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's not exactly. You don't know what the status of him is, but it's Deshaun Watson.
Well, yeah,
I know.
I mean, it's
like
that's the big asterisk in it. I mean, he'd be top 3. He'd be top 3 for me. It would be Mahomes, Rodgers, and Watson. That'd be the 3. But yeah, I mean, it's just a big old asterisk, and we have promised we will do an episode on that at some point when we actually learn something. we just don't really know, and like I say, we're just 5 or 6 weeks away from kind of preseason now, and nothing's really happening. So it's at this point, it's hard to see him starting week 1, isn't it? I don't think we're going to see him this season, to be honest.
It's all behind closed doors, which means things are getting sorted. Like things are moving along, but as people have kind of said, the fact that there's 24, 23 accusers and each one's got to go through separate cases and stuff because they're not compiling the cases. 24 cases is a lot. This could go on 3 years. So yeah, we don't know when we're back in the NFL, if ever. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where taking everything away from it, I hope we do. I hope we do. I hope he's innocent.
Yeah, if he's innocent, I hope we see him again.
Yeah, I hope he's innocent. And I hope we see him again, but we shall see. That was the top 10 quarterbacks then from the PFF list. Let's look at the top 50 players overall. I'll just run through some names straight off the bat. Unsurprisingly, Aaron Donald, number 1, been there for a while. He's just the best, isn't he? He's just absolutely superb, and once again elevated that Rams defense to one of the best in the league last season. Just an absolute monster of a player, isn't he, Aaron Donald?
He won't need one to get in the Hall of Fame or anything, but I just really hope he gets a ring somewhere because he legitimately might retire as like Dan Marino levels of greatest player to never win a. I think if he carries on this career trajectory, he is quite simply the greatest player to never win a Super Bowl because he eclipses Dan Marino because he could also be the greatest defensive player of all time. Yeah. He's so good.
Absolutely. Mahomes in 2. Patrick Mahomes in 2. That's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. Travis Kelce in 3. Can't argue it. I mean, he was incredible last year. He was absolutely incredible last year. He's the best player of his position by a fair distance. Sorry, George Kittle. But I think Travis Kelce right now broke all kinds of records last year. Maybe it's a little high, but actually, I don't really hate it. For pound for pound, he is right the way up there. And completing the top 5 is Devontae Adams in 5th, the top-rated receiver from the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, in number 4, Quentin Nelson, left guard, Indianapolis Colts, which I can't really have too many qualms about. Interesting. Adams is the number 1 receiver, actually. What do you think to that? Do you think, would you have put Hopkins up there? Would you have maybe even a Stephon Diggs after last season? What do you think of that?
I personally have put Hopkins there, but I exactly don't hate it. We rave about Colts players a lot. We do. We rave about 2 in particular.
Yeah.
But the fact that Quentin Nelson, as an interior lineman, is ranked, because this includes quarterbacks as well. This is including all the quarterbacks, which is obviously, if you were to technically weight this list, they're all in there. All the starting quarterbacks are 1 probably through 32.
Yeah.
The fact an interior lineman is there shows how good this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
He's like Aaron Donald levels of, he could be the greatest player we've ever seen in that position. So I'm so happy he is 4, because he could be the greatest left guard we've ever seen, the greatest interior lineman we've ever seen.
He's still so young. He's still not even paid yet.
Yeah,
he's still not truly paid.
And I know he's a tackle, but Ramajek got paid like $94 million and made him the highest paid right tackle in the NFL. We're going to have to pay Quentin over $100 million. We just are. He's worth it, but like we're going to have to pay him everything.
Well, as you say, I mean, Ryan Ramczyk has just been called, as you say, he's been named he's become the highest paid tackle of all time. He's 28th on this list, which just goes to show he's 24 spots below Quentin Nelson. So, yeah, he's going to be worth every penny, though. I really do. One of the big takeaways from this list, I know it'll get you amped up, I'm sure, as it did me. Chris Jones is on this list. Cameron Hayward is on this list. I just looked down some extras. Grady Jarrett from the Atlanta Falcons is on this list. What do they have in common? What they have in common is they're all interior defensive linemen. And, of course, Aaron Donald as well. That means there are 4, I believe, interior defensive linemen on this top 50 list. And yet no DeForest Buckner, which is an absolute travesty. Look, I know we're Colts fans, but how DeForest Buckner does not make it in. Dak Prescott was 50th. Are you telling me, look, with all sincerity, coming off an injury, everything, Dak Prescott is a better all-round footballer than DeForest Buckner?
I mean, the defensive tackle he's just named there, DeForest Buckner is 2.
Yeah.
He's Aaron Donald's 1. No worries about that. But DeForest Buckner's 2, especially in that list, because Cam Hayward, if you're doing this list 5-10 years ago, yeah, he's in there. He's he's a really strong, solid defensive tackle, interior lineman. Yeah. Not anymore. Grady Jarrett, really strong, solid player. Again, on the other side of probably 30. DeForest Buckner's better than them.
I think so.
He just is.
Travesty. Absolute travesty. DeForest Buckner didn't make it in. And Quentin Nelson was the only Colt. So that was just Darius Leonard. No? Really?
It's like third best off the ball linebacker in the NFL.
We'll only get accused of bias, but I just think he should have been there, frankly.
All the linebackers are in there ahead of him, because if it's just if it's Fred Warner and a Seahawks linebacker that's just escaped me, the best linebacker in football, I've just forgot his name.
Bobby Wagner?
Yeah, Bobby Wagner. If it's those 2 ahead of him, just those 2, fine. But if there's anyone else, then...
I'm trying to look down the list, actually. Eric Kendricks made it in.
No, he's better than Eric Kendricks.
Yeah, I know he's... Yeah, he is.
He's better than Eric Kendricks. Look, if Fred Warner, it's just Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner there, that's fine. But he's 3.
Yeah, I guess there's the argument. You can argue Devin White, I guess, but he didn't make it in either, I don't think. Which is kind of bizarre. I think I probably would have Devin White in this list. Levante David actually made it in. Which is... I don't know. If you're going to have one of them, I would have had White. So I don't really understand that. There's some interesting additions to that list. Bryce Callahan, cornerback in this list.
It's not even the star cornerback on his team.
Interesting. PFF is an interesting beast. It really is. But we keep going back for more, even though it just infuriates you every time you look at it. So yeah, do have a look at that top 50 list. It does make for some interesting reading at least. And we'd like to know. Let us know what your top 50 would be. I don't expect to put 50 players out. Top 5, top 10, whatever you want. But do let us.
If you want, we'll read it. If you want to send us it, we will read it.
We will read it. Fill the mailbag in your top 50s. We'll just dedicate a whole episode to that and just rip you apart. That's fine. But yeah, if you want to send your top 5s in for certain positions or anything like that, please do that and we will critique your top 5s. Seems like quite a fun exercise. Right, final thing today then. Final topic before we get out of here. Courtesy of HBO, home box office, because Hard Knocks is going to Arlington, Texas. The Dallas Cowboys are featuring on the new series of Hard Knocks this preseason, which is going to be fun, isn't it? I think it's the third time they've been involved in it, but they haven't been there for a very long time. Of all the teams they could have picked, considering the Prescott thing, considering the pressure McCarthy had last year in his first year at the team, I like the selection. I must admit, I will be tuning in to watch the Cowboys Hard Knocks. What about you?
Yeah, I will. It's, for anyone who doesn't know what Hard Knocks is yet, Hard Knocks is a documentary of essentially the team's off season, everything up to the rookies kind of signing up until does it include the preseason games?
Yeah,
it includes the preseason. It's it's the team's whole preseason. It's really, really good, like unprecedented behind the scenes access. It's really kind of good fun. Last year was it was it the Chargers and the Rams last year? It was the LA combined one. The year before that was the Cleveland Browns. The year before that was somebody else who I can't remember.
Testing me there. But
yeah, it was someone else, but he's always unprecedented behind the scenes access. It's really kind of good stuff. It'll give you an insight into the head, like just the stars of the team, the head coach, the rookies. Michael Parsons will be front and center, but also players that you've probably never heard of become stars of it. There was a Browns quarterback that did really well 2 years ago. We saw Aaron Donald playing ping pong last year. It's really good fun.
It's a great insight. I think it was when he was with the Browns. Carl Nassib was on there giving financial advice.
Yes, he was, because when he came out, obviously 2 weeks ago, everyone was like, "The guy from Hard Knocks."
He's that guy.
The guy telling everyone to invest in like stocks and shares and stuff, and low index accounts and stuff.
It's just your first. It's just nice to see the insides because you don't understand what kind of how OTAs kind of look and how mini camps look, and it's kind of wild, to be honest, how they kind of put it all together. It really is. They usually have to spend quite a lot of time away from the family and stuff. And the whole NFL preseason really is a wild thing. And Hard Knocks is famed as well for being there on site because they film everything essentially. And some pretty famous fights back in the day as well. The old scrimmage bouts. I remember the Texans one. Texans against Browns, I think that was. Yeah, it's a great show. If you've never watched Hard Knocks, do catch it. Obviously, it's on HBO in America. Sky Sports generally carry it over here in the UK.
NFL Game Pass does as well.
And Game Pass, of course. Yeah, it's a great watch. It's usually 4 or 5 episodes going out weekly. So the Cowboys, lots of talking points, as you say. The big one being number 4, isn't it? I mean, it's all going to be number 4. How can he bounce back? Will he be comeback player of the year? That's got to be the big story, isn't it?
It'll be him and Zeke, both of their kind of star players in the star football team, America's team. It'll be how they kind of are gearing up for this season, as well as McCarthy being under fire. There's a lot of mouth to feed on that offense and that terrible defense, which now has a new leader on it. There's some really good storylines going into it, and if it's anything like their All or Nothing from 3-4 years ago, it's going to be really good.
And will we get a little bit of insight from Mr. Jerry Jones as well? That will be
of course
very,
we
very
will. He'll get himself on there. Any chance from, he does a post-match press conference when he's got, I was going to say he's got nothing to do with the team, but
he's got a fair bit to do with the team.
Everything to do with the team. He probably picks the team ahead of Mike McCarthy, but he'll show up, I'm sure, every episode.
Absolutely. Do pay attention to that. I'm sure that'll be out pretty soon. Thank you very much for watching or listening. Indeed, if you are just on the audio version, we are going to try and get these out every single week now until the start of the season. Once the season gets underway, we'll probably be back to 2 episodes a week, so it might be a little trickier, but even so, We're going to try our best to get weekly content out here on the YouTube channel. And if there's other extra bits you want us to do, if you want short episodes, short clips, anything like that, let us know. Give us a shout. Get it in the comments. Tweet us at Couple of Punts. Email us, couplepunts@gmail.com if you want. Any way you want to contact us, do that. And as I said at the start of the episode, if you will if you'll subscribe, give us a like, all that kind of stuff. You know the drill by now. You know YouTube. You know the crack is. Every little helps. It really does, and we really do appreciate you. If this is your first episode, we appreciate you. If this is your 110th episode, we appreciate you even more. Thank you very much for being here. And Harry, anything to say before we get out of here?
Just echo everything you said, and because it's the off season, the NFL news is a little bit slower. Again, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? What do you want us to do? It's a great time to ask questions. I think our mailbag's clear right now. So if you have questions to ask us, ask away. We can go into as much detail as we want because it's the slow period of the NFL. So yeah, just get involved that way and tell us how we can make this the best podcast it can be for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much for watching or listening, guys. We'll see you soon.
See you next week.